Ryan Leaf, ladies and gentlemen. Ryan Leaf. Let me tell you about this, man, Heather B.
Tell me.
We're brothers for a number of reasons. But the one that has brought us together is this Last Mile radio show under the Last Mile umbrella, which you know is an organization that I became a board member of some years ago and went to San Quentin and different other facilities, institutions across the land that keep people incarcerated. And Chris Redlitz and Bev, his lovely wife, Parenti, recruited me to be a part of this. And we kicked off a podcast series, the Last Mile radio show, and where we got a chance to go into this particular time, San Quentin, and speak to a lot of different people who were incarcerated, who went through the program to learn how to code, and made it through the program successfully and became really outstanding citizens because they were given the opportunity. They were given a chance to redeem themselves. And this program has 0% recidivism rate, which means anybody who's incarcerated that went through this program never went back, right? And that's the thing.
That's rare.
That's rare. That doesn't happen.
No.
That's Haley's Comet.
Yeah.
That's once every 75 years. That's what makes this program effective. Ryan is here. Ryan Leaf, he's our new host of the Last Mile radio show. This man was a former quarterback at Washington State, Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year in 1997. Mike Muse, first team All-American. Mike Muse, a Heisman Trophy finalist this guy was. He was led the Cougars to the 1997 Rose Bowl. He was the number 2 overall in the 1998 NFL Draft by the San Diego Chargers, and he spent 4 years in the league. And then eventually he began, when he left the league, it's when we started
having some fun. Yeah.
He started having some fun.
Yeah.
And some would say it was a fall from grace.
Some.
Right?
Yeah.
You became addicted to opioids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I had 15 surgeries from playing that game.
Okay.
So, I mean, you get beat up for a living. You go in on Sunday, Saturdays even when I was playing, you go through about, 15 to 20 car accidents.
Okay.
Essentially. That's
what it is equivalent to, right?
Yeah, it's equivalent to that. So you figure out whatever you can do to play, and after those surgeries, they gave me this opiate painkiller.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a reason why it exists. Like, it was built to take away your physical pain that you're going through.
Yeah.
And then once I was done going through that physical pain, I went back to competing, which is what I love to do. And so I never thought about it again.
Mm-hmm.
Then when my career ended and it wasn't, it was so hyped. Like, it was Peyton Manning and it was me.
Yeah.
And so there was just so much hype around it, so much expectation, and I did not know how to deal with failure. You don't realize you fail every damn day.
Yeah.
In the whole life you failed, but to do it on the biggest stage in front of everybody, man, that crippled my psyche.
Yeah.
And I wasn't able to because I was such an immature kid. But, emotional maturity. Once you're 13 years old and you're told you got a golden arm, you got to be placed on that pedestal, man. There's a lot of entitlement that comes with it.
Psychological, right? Psychologically. Yep. And then when you're on that pedestal in those years of college, in those years of the NFL, you got 1,000 friends, right? And then when you left, family and friends.
Yeah.
When you start going through this challenge, when you became addicted and you started going through this spiral, how many people were around you?
Well, let's put it this way. So when people wanted to be critical, and I do think constructively, my parents were that.
Okay.
They unconditionally loved me. They wanted to show me the mirror and say, hey, you have the world at your fingertips. Don't mess this up.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of, allowing constructive criticism, I just surrounded myself with people that told me that I was right or that I was the victim in all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Because they knew that they were going to get that ride. Some of them even, essentially were cousins, and I liken them to like incredibly high-priced call girls. No matter what I was paying for somebody to spend time with me, essentially, like just to be with me. They just happened to be dudes and my cousins, and they spent all my money, and I didn't get laid out of the deal, I guess is the way to put it. But it is what it is. And then what's funny is when it all goes away, and then when you become this laughing stock and you go to prison, they're gone.
They're out of there, right?
They're out of there, and they're not. So what I did find out, really, truthfully, is I found out who my real friends are through this process too.
Through this process, how did you end in prison? How did that land?
So, well, I'd love to say like I didn't know a drug dealer, and I became addicted to these painkillers. My doctors were my drug dealer. I would go in and I would manipulate. I was in physical pain, but I also was in a bunch of emotional pain, and I would manipulate the doctors to get as many pills as I could. But eventually, like any addict, you get to a place where the tolerance is just through the roof. And so I ended up back in my home community where I'm not a liked person.
Why not?
I grew up wanting to be the Fab Five. It's just different generation, right? I Jalen Rose and Chris Webber and those guys. I wore my shorts down to my knees, black socks, shaved head, earrings. And in Montana, where I grew up, they always wanted a professional athlete, and instead they got me.
Okay.
And that wasn't who they're very conservative, very white, privileged community. They'd like to hang their hat on, and we're hardworking and all this, BS. They just weren't very welcoming to somebody on the outside, so they shamed the hell out of me growing up. And I looked in the mirror all the time, and I'm like, I'm not good enough. And so there was a lot of shame that went with that. So I was never really okay with who I was. So when I was a great athlete in college and in the pros, I was always trying to stick it to them and give it back to them. And then, I just couldn't go, hey, I forgive you. You were bad. You were shaming to me. Let's do this together. Instead, I said, I'm going to rub this all in your face and show you every ounce of what comes forward. So, that was kind of my journey there. And then I, because of that, I ended up in my hometown and going to friends' houses, pretending I was interested in spending time with them, going through their medicine cabinet till ultimately I was like the burglar, bro. I was like looking up open houses in the newspaper and showing up at the house and in a pea coat, looking like I didn't look like a burglar. And they may have known who I was. And they're like, oh, Ryan could afford this house. And,
yeah.
I mean, 9 times out of 10, there was some sort of opiate painkiller in the medicine cabinet. My hometown became my drug dealer.
But what does that say about your hometown when 90% of the homes has opioids in it? What's going on with America?
That's the problem, right? It was an epidemic that was going on. What's funny about it is this, too. Like, people will go get their wisdom teeth pulled, and the doctor will prescribe some opiates.
This is true.
Yep.
And they'll go home, and they'll take 2.
Yep.
Like a normal person. I remember when I would be in somebody's house, and I would take their pills, and I'd get it to them, and I'd look, and they were, like, prescribed like a year ago, and I'd go, and they'd only taken 2 of them. I'm like, what the hell's wrong with these people? Because I'm a junkie, and they're not, and they didn't take them. They took them like normal people, right?
Yeah.
And so luckily for me, my hometown became my drug dealer. But luckily, I'm not a great criminal. I'm 6'7", 270 pounds. I'm not, the cat burglar. Sneaking in people's homes.
They see you, bro. They can see you.
That damn ass that big old white boy over there coming out of that house.
That don't look right.
That don't look right. And sure enough, I got found out pretty quick. March 30th, 2012, Sheriff's Department showed up and saved my life.
It saved your life because they incarcerated you. They arrested you.
Yeah, I couldn't do it on my own.
How long did you spend incarcerated?
Almost 3 years.
Yeah. And how did you spend your time? Because that's important. What was your program?
Nothing. Get fat, eat bad food, sell my coffee, get more ramens out of the deal, treat the guards like shit. That was.
But you taught people how to read.
Yeah, eventually, like 26 of those 32 months, I was the worst possible version of myself.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. Ballooned up to like 325 pounds. Tried to get the guards to fight each other. Get some of the black guards to get angry with the white guards. I mean, I was just so miserable. It was the worst possible version of me. What I thought the guy getting arrested was the worst possible version of me. No, it was that version.
It was
of
that
me,
person
without the drugs.
Because
I couldn't take the edge off or do whatever I could. So I just did everything. I made the cops go get my mail for me and deliver it to me. I went outside twice. I would grow my hair out and my beard like crazy, and they'd make me go down and do the change the ID thing because you got to look like your appearance. And as soon as they'd take me forever to get there, and then I'd remove all my money off my books so I couldn't pay for the thing, and then so the state would have to pay for the ID. I mean, this is deep diving stuff, y'all. And then I'd go back to the cell and I'd shave it all off after the day they cut it. So they tried to get me back down to take a picture again. I mean, I just would do anything that was defined. I was the worst possible version of myself.
So what is that?
Wow.
What kind of programs and tools did they offer at the prison that keep people occupied? What kind of?
I was in a for-profit prison,
Okay.
Crossroads Correctional Facility. And it incentivizes judges and DAs to get jail time because they already have deals with the state.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was not a rehabilitative place, mainly because the turnover is so great. I mean, you start to maybe trust a therapist that you started to talk to, boom, they're gone. I mean, they're off to some other job because it's not a conducive place for healthy relationships in those places. And so luckily for me, my higher power, whatever that is, in its infinite wisdom, just showed up in the form of my roommate.
In jail?
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, you must have hit a crossroad, a turning point at some place because you're here talking about the last mile. Is that when it happened?
Yeah. My roommate was an Afghan-Iraqi war veteran.
Okay. He was a real one.
Yeah. And he had done something that I think everybody's probably done at some point in their life and had too many drinks and drove.
Okay.
And he killed somebody that night. He was home on, I don't know if he was home on leave from a tour in Afghanistan, but he did, and he went to prison and had spent the last 8 years there. He went in 23, and he was now like 31 years old. And he was my roommate, and he was not resolute with being that person, and he tried to better himself every day. I mean, he was getting it, taking his ACTs, because when he got out, if he ever got out, he wanted to, get his GI Bill and go to engineering school, become like a helicopter pilot. I mean, like he wanted to change. There was hope for him, and I didn't have any of that. And I looked at him one day, and I was like, what's wrong with you, bro? I mean, we are a number. We've been warehoused. We're losers. And luckily for me, he never listened to me. He just tried to keep doing more and more, and then one day he had enough of my BS.
Mm-hmm.
And he just said, you don't understand the value that you have, Ryan, not only for the men in here, but for when you get out. And so he suggested we go down to the prison library and help prisoners who didn't know how to read learn how to read. And, man, I've had all those come to Jesus moments in my life, from coaches, from mentors, from family. And I just told him, no, big, strong football player. I don't need your help. So I can't tell you why I went. Maybe because the substance had been out of my system for 26 months.
Mm-hmm.
But I still went begrudgingly. I remember walking down the hallway, my red prison suit, like metaphorically kicking these rocks on the ground like a little child, thinking this is stupid. This isn't going to help me. Doesn't he know how important I am? And then that right there is the entirety of the problem for me. Like the guy who's in a prison jumpsuit in a prison hallway still thinks his ass is important.
Still got that ego.
Yeah, still thinks he's important.
Yeah.
And then I walk into this room, and here's this, I don't know, I probably would have said he was between 50 and 60 years old, Native American guy from my home state of Montana there. He flat out said, hey, I never learned how to read. I've been faking it my whole life. Could you help me? And I'd never seen another peer or a man actually ask somebody for help. Not in movies, not in real life, the cowboy culture of Montana, locker rooms in the NFL. You've never seen a man go, I'm really hurting here. Can you help me? So if you haven't seen it, and the the toxic masculinity of like men needing help, how are you supposed to do it? And so my first reaction was almost like, what's wrong with this dude? And then we just got to work. In the worst possible environment you can imagine, it's two men going through incredibly adverse times. We're there for one another. Like he did as much for me as I did for him and trying to help him read. But it's not like this changes overnight. Like I didn't go back to my cell and go, got this shit figured out. Got it unlocked now. I'll be good. Like it takes time. It's like going to the gym. You don't go to the gym one day and you wake up the next morning and you look like The Rock.
No.
You gotta put in the time, the consistency of it. So, months passed, kept doing it. Became the TA for the substance abuse counselor, and then when my parole came up, because I kept denying my parole too. I could have been out.
You denied your own parole?
I could have been out in 6 months.
You knew you weren't ready?
I didn't want to. I wanted to be dead. So, like, I thought either I thought I was. This is the worst thing. I thought I was punishing my family, like keeping me away from. It's a sick mind. Secondly, I think that I'm drama-free Ryan from my community.
Mm-hmm.
I'm locked up, 3 hots in a cot. Your responsibility. I don't got to do anything. Nothing. you're psychologically, your mind is warped in that sense. And so, yeah, I denied my parole 3 times. And so finally the last one came around, and my roommate said he was up for his, I can't remember, his 2nd or 3rd shot at parole. And he said, I'll put mine up if you put yours up. And so we both did. And we both got them.
Wow. Man, get out of, man. Whoever that, what's that roommate's name, bro? Wow. Can you say his first name?
I'll tell you. His first name's Josh.
Josh. Salute to Josh, by the way, man. You got out.
No, he was a guardian angel.
He was your angel, bro.
Not even knowing it.
Yeah. Did you stay in touch with Josh?
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah. He went to school. My wife and I, we were down celebrating my father's 70th birthday party in Nashville, and I got to introduce him to my wife and everything. But I mean, like anything though, like the last mile, what it does.
Well, talk about that. How did you find the last mile?
Well, let's go to this first, so people understand what it's like for somebody to get out. I know you probably think famous former football player, multimillionaire, he walks out of prison and it's easier. The transition's much easier for him. So when I walk into prisons and talk now, I gotta bring them down to earth real quick with this. So December 3rd, 2014. So, by the way, it's just the 10-year anniversary.
Yeah, this is a 10-year. Yeah, this is now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I can't do the speech thing now when I tell people not even a decade ago I was in a 10 by 12 cell.
Yeah.
It's the movie voice you see in the trailers.
And you got the same voice when you're not trying to do it. I'm just.
It's a Will Ferrell, very very white comedian guy. Yeah. So I walked out and there's nothing. Right. I don't have any money. I spent all my money. It's gone. I don't have a penny I can rub together. There is no job. No one wants to hire me. No one wants to be around me. What I did have, and what I think I had that a lot of people normally have, is I had my parents still there who, they never needed a famous football playing son. They just wanted a son to be, at peace.
Yeah.
And I had a place to lay my head. That was the difference, right? Most people don't when they get out, and they tend to go back to what they know, and that's just muscle memory. And so I had a place to lay my head, but no one wanted to be around me. There wasn't Sirius XM, NFL radio wasn't going, hey Ryan, come do the Monday morning show every week. No one wanted to be around me. And I remember waking up the next morning kind of grateful, and there was hope because of what I did while I was in there. I was being of service to another human being for the first time in my life. And I had this hope, and I slept in a real bed for the first time in 3 years. So there was some gratitude in that, bro. I wake up the next morning in my hometown newspaper, the Great Falls Tribune, and I love throwing the Great Falls Tribune on blast here because this was the wrongest shit that there is. I wake up the next morning, I'm eating my breakfast. My ego's not great. I'm 38, used to be a millionaire. Mom's cooking me breakfast, right?
Yeah.
Open up the paper, and there's a cartoon in it. Big old goofy caricature with me, big teeth, Lock up your medicine cabinets, Ryan leaves out. And whatever hope, whatever semblance of hope that there was there for me, that was dashed. My immediate muscle memory was to find pills. It was over. Luckily enough, I because of the work I did in there, I disassociate, and I looked at myself and I said, where this goes. So I went down to the homeless shelter in the Mission, and I started working down there. And more importantly, I just started sitting down with guys and girls and letting them talk to me. The biggest thing in those situations, when you're in the place where you don't feel seen, to be seen and be heard, that
makes the difference. The difference in the world.
It's everything, bro. Yeah. It's everything. And I didn't really do anything. I just sat there and made them feel like they were seen and heard, and that changed me. That got me back to making it about other people. And that really was the truth behind it. The only way I'm here, the only way I'm getting to do this, if 10 years ago I didn't start making it about other people.
Yeah. What was it about? And for those that don't know, The Last Mile, the same program that I'm a part of.
Yeah.
What appealed to you about The Last Mile, and how did you get involved?
Well, Chris
Redlitz, founder with Bev.
Yeah, with Bev, sent his bloodhound out after me to get me to the podcast. I didn't know really much about it, and anytime I do anything like this, I always want to make sure there's shared values. When I did their podcast, that what they believe in is what I believe in, so we can work together to make it better. And I went and did the podcast, And then I looked into it more. And then I invited him and his son out to play some golf. And we started talking. And he said, I told him I was going to be in Montana, where I'm from, where I spent my time in prison, incarcerated, where they now have a program in the Montana State Prison. And I was going to be home speaking. And he said, would you be willing to go back into prison and talk to our class? And when I'm asked to be of service now, I do it. I don't care what it is. And I walked into that state prison in Montana where I hadn't been back since I left, and I talked to them. And when I got out, Kevin McCracken, who's now the executive director of the program, he got back to Chris and said, dude, this guy, he just is able to relate with these guys better than anybody because everybody sees him as this famous football player, but he steps in that room and is like, these are my people, though.
Yeah. Yeah, man, get this man a round of applause. Brian Leaf, he's our new host of the Last Mile show that's on Triumph, our channel here. That's on Urban View as well. You could go to the Last Mile YouTube channel as well, correct? Yep. And you can hit them up directly. What's your Instagram? Because a lot of people, the phones are lit up, and we're going to take these callers. What's your Instagram?
At Ryan D. Leaf.
Okay, Mike Muse.
Leaf.
Like on a tree, baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mike, you want to chime in?
Yeah, it's interesting sitting here watching you, actually, more so than listening to you, watching you. You are a representation where you never know where life is going to take you. So I was actually at that Rose Bowl game in 1997. I went to University of Michigan.
Yeah.
And I was at that game when we played you, and that was our path to national championship that year. And
it was a great game.
Yeah, it was a great game. So watching you being the quarterback on that field when we last won our national championship, to see you now, it's a mind switch for me, right? It's kind of like a weird alternate universe.
26 years of
watching you perform in that field, and you played a fantastic game during that time period, and then to see you go through where you went through. I'm just curious, when did you shed that ego? Because that came up a lot in your conversation, in your story, about you still felt important, even in prison. And so I'm curious, at what moment did you begin to shed that ego to begin to work on your healing?
I think when I truly, I accepted what I was. You know, I like to put it, some guy gave me this the other day, and I told him I was going to steal it. I'm not the high prospect that didn't meet expectations. I'm the junkie that hit it big, is the way I look at it. Like, I was always down here, and I worked my tail off to get where I was at. And that's the way I had to look at it. Once I started being of service to other people. The irony of being a narcissist, which is essentially what an egomaniac is with a self-esteem problem, you believe that for your life to get better, everything has to be about you. Like what you can give me or what you can offer me or what do I get out of the deal. And clearly that doesn't work. So as it turns out, what works, and maybe it just works for me, but I feel like it does for everybody else. When you make it about somebody else, your life gets better.
Yeah.
And that's kind of ironic to where my mindset was. But I was so angry too. I wanted to show everybody that they were wrong. When really what other people think of me is none of my business. And it was so much of my business for the longest time. And what's ironic about all this 10 years later, and it's been a gradual ascent, is that I'm more confident as a human being with all the baggage, with all the stuff now, because everybody knows about it. I'm like B-Rabbit in 8 Mile. Like, I'm going to tell everybody my stuff, so whatever the hell you want to say, you don't got nothing.
Yeah.
The power's gone.
Yeah.
I told you that. You said I'm a junkie. Yeah, I know that. I'm a 7-time convicted felon. Yes, I told you that. And I'm showing you how it happened, how I got help, and guess what? How we're helping everybody else. So I'm more confident as a human being with all that baggage and all that stuff than I ever was as an NFL quarterback, which is, when I finally figured that out, I was just like, what? That doesn't make sense though, bro.
Wow, man, I love that. Great question, Mike. We got Ryan Leaf here, a couple of people on the phone. We got Kevin from Denver.
What up, Kev?
And Kev says he used to play with you at Washington State.
Woo! Kev, who we got, Kev?
Yeah, what's up? This is Kev.
Oh, Mac, what's up, buddy? 9?
Yo, you recognize his voice right away.
Yeah, dude. Well, him and I were together for 3 years together, just constantly. I should have known that when he said Denver.
Wow.
What's up, K9?
Yo, this is so crazy.
K9.
I'm chilling, man. I'm chilling. It's crazy hearing you on my show. I listen to this show every single morning. Tracy G, Heather B, shout out to each and every one of you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
doing
brother.
your thing. Mike Muse, I tune in to listen to you on the political side, but now I cannot listen to you because you said
Michigan.
national
Oh, I know. Kay caught the touchdown in the Rose Bowl from me.
Oh, are you serious?
What we run? What was it? A Hunt or Y Hunt?
Was Y Hunt?
Yeah, it was Y Hunt. He was playing Y that day. Yeah.
Yo, that's crazy talking to you. I just want to say, but you guys gave us a great run for the money that day.
Give us 2 more seconds.
Yo, Kev, and I did notice Mike said that like 3 times. So our way to the championship.
Yeah.
But Kev, what was he like in college? When you hear this story, what was he like in college, and how does this make you feel to see where he is today?
Well, first off, I'm extremely proud of the transformation of my boy Ryan and everything that he's been doing. I've been following him because it's really inspirational to witness. And back then, he's not lying. You know, he's not lying. He was egotistical and everything that he talked about. But at the same time, you take that and you want to install some of those same traits in your starting quarterback. You want them to have those things because it comes right along with leadership. But like Ryan said, it may have went a little bit over the top, but the transformation is really what I wanted to commit.
Kev, that team though, we were all confident,
bro.
bro.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah.
No
one was stopping us. Yeah.
Well, man.
I mean, all the work that we put in, the summertime and all that other stuff, man, it was just, it just propelled us into the success that we witnessed.
That's beautiful.
Kevin, I appreciate you calling, man.
I love you, brother. I miss you.
All right. Hey, you guys, y'all get in contact. And Kev, you're a super citizen, brother.
Thanks for listening to Sway in the Morning.
First time caller, baby.
First time
Hey.
caller.
Man, he called on the perfect day.
Perfect day.
Just had to get Ryan on the show to get him a call. I love it.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome to the special team. All right, Kev, you're a citizen, brother.
Sway in the Morning.
I'm going to do one more call because we have somebody that played football with him, but we also have someone from Montana who was in prison with you.
Really?
Are you serious?
I can't make this up. Sean's on the line. Sean, welcome to the show.
Wow.
What's good, y'all? How y'all doing this morning?
Excellent. You remember this guy?
What's up, Ryan?
What's up?
Yeah, man. I was up in Shelby with you, man. I was in D-Pod with you in the Honor Pod, man.
Really?
And, I got paroled. Yeah, I got paroled in 2013 from there. But, I was sitting there for 8.5 years for armed robbery. But, yeah, I remember the day you came in, man. It was like, yeah, this the superstar guy right here. Let's see what he got. You know?
Yeah, I didn't come out of my room much, did I? I pretty much just sat in my room.
Yeah, no, man. You was the most humblest person. You know, we didn't, and nobody, we expected you to, be Mr. Big Head and Big Shot. We came in, it was like, man, this dude kind of cool, man. He humble. He down to earth. He right here with us, man. So,
wow.
What's up? I'm a Ryan Lee fan now, you know?
Well, I appreciate that, brother. Yeah, I think I had been humbled, right? I I'd just been beaten, and you know that feeling, like being in that facility. You kind of feel so beaten by everybody, and you just finally just kind of either you keep fighting or you just kind of sit, you know?
Yeah. Like, this ain't it, man. This ain't it. God got something better for me.
Amen.
And that's the same thing I looked at it, because and you know how they do it in Montana. You ain't getting your first parole. You know, it's gonna take an act of God. You know, so I said that for 8.5 years, and by the grace of God, I got my first parole. I'm still here in Montana. I'm in Billings. I own 2 businesses, and I ain't looking back, man. But I definitely remember you, man.
I appreciate that, brother.
Hey, we got to recruit him for the last mile. We got to recruit him.
Man. For sure.
Seriously, when I come back to Montana to record, let's get you on one of the pods, man. I think that would be powerful.
Okay. What's that?
I was going to say, can they take his phone number so he can get it?
We got it right
here.
We
got it right here. Yo, take a picture of that number for me.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, Sean, I appreciate you. Hold on the line. You're a citizen, man.
Yeah, hold on the line. It's
okay.
in the morning.
Yes, man. All right. Ryan Leaf, man, you're amazing.
Yes.
Your story was
crazy, bro.
Bro, this is the reach.
Can't make it
But
up.
it's your story. Kevin's never called here before. Yeah. He just listens.
First time caller.
Sean's never called. He just listens. It's your story, and your story is where your value. You need to go through that to get to here.
He fell into grace.
You fell into grace.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't fall from grace.
I've been carried. It's there's a lot of reasons why I feel like I probably shouldn't be the one that's here. I mean, I played with Junior Seau. I played with, and I know Vincent Jackson, both unbelievable players at the NFL level that are both gone now.
Yeah.
And so there's real survivor's guilt at times because, like, why is it me? I do think their stories would be more impactful. So there's a purpose. There's only a reason why I'm here. Especially in Montana, where per capita there's more guns and homes than anywhere else. And I was in, as I tell people all the time, if you were in Great Falls from 2010 to 2012, I was probably in your house.
Wow.
I was a horrible drug fiend, and the ends justified the means, and the fact that I wasn't shot is somebody's hand on me, placing me in a place where I needed to be.
Yo, give it up for Ryan Leaf, man. Big round of applause.